Hello YouTubers, we've made it onto the lake here at Piediluco. It's race day. This morning, just a little bit of moving the legs, stretching the legs, waking up the legs before the race this afternoon. We've got a few hours after this to chill, to relax, but now it's time to just get the legs firing, but not too much, just enough to make sure they know what's going to happen this afternoon. And we've made it off the water. The Yamagini name yet to be determined is strapped down for race time. The conditions out there, like I said earlier this week in the previous episode, is expected to be a bit bumpy, and it is a bit bumpy. It's quite variable down the course, but as I've said multiple times throughout the last few episodes, we have to deal with the conditions that happen on race day. Today, unfortunately, it's not flat glass that we've been used to for the last couple of weeks, but we just have to deal with it. So getting out there on this first session, nice short one, getting used to the water and the locations that it kind of is bad. So there's basically the middle K is a bit very crossy. Then there's a lovely headwind as well to slow us down and try and make it really difficult. So now, time to go rest, relax, and get ready for race time. So how does one get ready for a race on race day? Well, it can kind of vary for every individual, and it can vary on the race itself. For me, I'm doing a 2K race today this afternoon, and so since it's in the afternoon, I feel like it's quite good to get out in the morning and go out and wake up the legs, because otherwise you'll just be sitting all day doing nothing and your legs are a bit shocked in the afternoon. Since it is an afternoon, it also gives me the opportunity to have a nice leisurely morning, wake up at the same time as I usually do, and keep on going through a normal pattern of the day. Sometimes when the races are a bit earlier, it forces you, if you are doing a pre-paddle, to wake up earlier, change your sleep cycle, and get all confused. But that's not the case today. On the water, a case of seeing the conditions that you'll probably race on is really handy. Like I said, you'll be able to know, okay, where does it get a bit choppy, or where does it get fast, where is it slow, where does the wind kick in, all those types of things, especially on a windy day. And as well, going out there and getting the legs moving, waking them up a little bit gives you just that little bit more freshness throughout the day if you can keep it up. And speaking of keeping it up, that's where the sort of prep prior to a race can change for everyone. Some people like to do absolutely nothing before a race until the warm-up. Some people like to do loads of stuff before a race, and that's where it kind of changes per individual. For me, especially in this type of time schedule where the race is in the afternoon, sort of a middle ground. So I'm happy to relax, but as we get closer to the race time, I want to make sure I'm ready and prepped and firing on all cylinders for the race time. For the race time itself, it is this afternoon, but I don't know the exact time, and I don't know who I'm going to be racing until about 3 hours before the race, so I will let you know when I find out. And fuel throughout the race day, again, a little bit individual, but for me, I like to have a sizable meal about 2 hours prior to the race, and then little snacks, maybe 1 or 2 snacks in that 2 hours, so I'm not going into the race time with an empty stomach. Some people, it can change. Some people like a fuller stomach, some people like a completely empty stomach, and the foods themselves can change because some people feel like they can hold down some foods and they feel comfortable with those foods. Other people, it's a completely different type of food that they feel comfortable eating and racing with. So that's kind of where you can experiment. And now I am going to fuel up after this little short session this morning, then I'm going to chill out, then we're going to start the hype train, and I'll let you know when I find out who we're racing, the time of the race, and then we head into the race itself. Oh yeah! What an opportunity we have today, Yam Squad. You probably already know who I'm going to be racing by the title, but I will be racing today in the heats, the first race of the regatta, the Greek Olympic champion, who obviously won the Olympics last year. So it's going to be an interesting one, and just what an opportunity I get to go out there and race such high caliber athletes. In my heat today has been pushed back half an hour. The weather itself has worsened quite significantly, so hopefully by the time we actually get to racing it's calmed down a little bit. So I mentioned about that middle K being really bouncy. It's even more bouncy now, but again, another great opportunity to head out there and push myself outside of my comfort zone. So the heat itself, I'm in the first heat of the day, the first race of the regatta, with the Greek Olympic champion in lane 1. We have an athlete from the Ivory Coast in lane 2, Lithuania 4, lane 3, Italy 3, lane 4, myself in lane 5, Italy 2, lane 6, and Belgium 3, lane 7. So the calibre of athlete, even just in my heat alone, is high, and then in the other 3 heats it is immense as well. The progression for the heats themselves is the fastest, or the winner of each heat goes through to the A final, and then I think it's the fastest 4 times go through to the A final. So it's a case of just going as fast as I can for the entire race, regardless of what's happening. But the whole idea of coming here was to get some great racing and great learning experiences, and I've got a great opportunity to do so, even in just this first race. Number 1, I get to race against amazing opposition, and number 2, pushing myself outside of my comfort zone, rowing in conditions that aren't ideal conditions to race in. But as always, rowing is a rowing sport, and we have to deal with the conditions that are on the day. So now it's a case of fueling up that bigger meal that I mentioned earlier, and then having little snacks and just relaxing. Then we get to warm up, we get on the course, and then we just go as fast as we can down the racetrack and see where that puts us. I'm actually pretty nervous for this race and for this regatta. As Pete Reed once said to me, your nerves are a sign that you care, and use them to your advantage. Just kind of almost like bottle them up, not bottle them up, but kind of get them ready to be released on that race, if that makes sense. So we're gonna chill out, fuel up, relax, and then we start that hype train building up towards the race. Oh yeah.
Mi dice che non ce l'hanno.
Trying to fix it, so they're delaying the race, and looks like they're delaying all races, so trying to keep warm but also listen in to see what we're doing.
down. Oh, the water's flat enough down this end that we okay. A little chat once we get back on land.
What an opportunity, Yam Squad. We went out there, we raced the Olympic champion, and we raced in the worst conditions that I've ever raced in my single scull, producing an awesome time of almost 9 minutes and 3 seconds. So probably one of the slowest times, but it was really enjoyable, and I'm really happy with how I dealt with the race itself, the conditions, and actually within the race itself, I felt like I kept a cool head, especially in being so far out of my comfort zone. You probably saw off the start, wasn't an ideal start, and a few of us didn't really have an ideal start, but using the athletes around to push off of, and just keeping on going, staying confident, trying to stay loose, and trying to use the opportunity in bad conditions to try and improve. And it just highlights I really do need to improve my bad condition rowing, but basically that means I need to improve my rowing technique and my confidence in the boat, which isn't anything new, it's just a little bit of a confirmation. So I lost to the Greek Olympic champion by just under 30 seconds, so I have to find 30 seconds somewhere if I want to beat the Olympic champion. But unfortunately for the progression going forward into the A or B final, so it's the winners of the heats go through to the A final and then the 4 fastest times, but it looks like the weather has been progressively getting better throughout the afternoon, and it will be interesting to see how people perform tomorrow in the A and B final. Fortunately, like I've mentioned already, this regatta, or the regattas if it were, there's heats today on Friday, there's finals Saturday morning, heats Saturday afternoon, and then finals Sunday afternoon. But it looks like the weather is going to be even worse for tomorrow versus today, so again, it's going to be another great opportunity to go out there, push myself outside of my comfort zone, and just try and row as best as I can and use the opportunity to get better and improve. So, as always, Yam Squad, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you have any tips for me, if you watched the rowing and thought, wow, that's needing this or that, let me know in the comments below. I've got a few things to work on, but it'd be interesting if what I think I need to work on matches up with what you need to work on. And that will be it for today's episode. Hit that like button if you did enjoy today's episode, and I will see you in the next episode of Day 2 here at the Regatta Lake Priedeluco.